The galaxy trembled under the relentless advance of the Zal'rath, a reptilian alien race bent on total domination. Their conquest seemed unstoppable, with entire star systems falling into their scaly grip. Civilizations crumbled, and hope waned. But deep in the shadows, a spark of defiance flickered. The humans, with their unparalleled ferocity, were ready to fight back. Commander Sslithar gazed out the viewport of his flagship, the Wrath of Zal, as it hovered above the smoldering ruins of another conquered planet. His yellow eyes glinted with satisfaction. The Zal'rath fleet had crushed all resistance, as they had done countless times before. "Captain Drathka, report," Sslithar hissed. Drathka saluted, her plasma spear gleaming in the dim light. "Commander, the planet is secure. All major cities have fallen, and the remaining population is being processed as we speak." Sslithar nodded, his tail flicking with approval. "Excellent. Our progress is inevitable. Soon, the entire galaxy will bow to the Zal'rath." As the commander turned back to the viewport, he couldn't help but feel a twinge of unease. Reports had been coming in of a resistance movement, a group of humans who were not only surviving, but actively fighting back. Their tactics were brutal, their resolve unyielding. Sslithar knew they had to be dealt with before they became a significant threat. Deep within the dense forests of a remote planet, Colonel Marcus Kane surveyed his ragtag band of fighters. They were a mix of soldiers, former police officers, and civilians, all united by a common cause: to stop the Zal'rath. "Listen up, everyone," Kane called out, his voice carrying authority and resolve. "We've received intel that the Zal'rath are planning another attack. We need to be ready." Sergeant Elena Cruz stepped forward, her eyes sharp and determined. "Colonel, I've scouted their position. They're heavily fortified, but there's a weak point on the eastern flank. If we strike there, we can create enough chaos to take them down." Kane nodded. "Good work, Cruz. We'll move out at first light. Remember, our strength lies in our unpredictability and our ferocity. Let's show these lizards what humans are capable of." As the resistance fighters prepared for battle, a sense of camaraderie and determination filled the air. They knew the odds were against them, but they also knew that they were humanity's last hope. The dawn was barely breaking when the human resistance launched their assault. With Elena Cruz leading the way, they moved silently through the underbrush, their movements synchronized and efficient. As they approached the Zal'rath encampment, the tension was palpable. "Now," Cruz whispered, and the humans sprang into action. Explosions rocked the eastern flank of the Zal'rath base, sending reptilian soldiers scrambling. The humans moved with lethal precision, taking down enemies with a combination of guerrilla tactics and raw aggression. Commander Sslithar, alerted to the attack, rushed to the command center. "What is happening?" he roared. "Humans, sir. They've breached the eastern perimeter," an officer responded, fear evident in his voice. Slithar's eyes narrowed. "Mobilize all units. We will crush this resistance once and for all." On the battlefield, Kane and Cruz fought side by side, their movements a deadly dance of survival. Kane's rifle spat fire, each shot finding its mark, while Cruz's agility and stealth made her a ghost among the trees, striking with deadly precision. "Keep pushing," Kane shouted. "We have them on the run." But the Zal'rath were not so easily defeated. Reinforcements poured in, and the tide of battle began to turn. As the humans found themselves surrounded, their resolve only hardened. "We need to fall back," Cruz urged, her eyes scanning for an escape route. Kane shook his head. "No, we stand and fight. For humanity." The humans regrouped, forming a defensive line. Their ferocity and sheer willpower kept the Zal'rath at bay, but it was clear they couldn't hold out forever. Just as all seemed lost, a series of loud booms echoed across the battlefield. Explosions ripped through the Zal'rath ranks, and a new wave of human fighters emerged from the forest, led by a heavily armored figure. "Colonel Kane, we're here to reinforce you," the newcomer shouted. Kane's heart lifted as he recognized the insignia of the United Earth Forces. "About time you showed up," he called back. With the reinforcements joining the fray, the battle's momentum shifted. The humans fought with renewed vigor, their carnivorous instincts driving them to press the attack. The Zal'rath, unprepared for such savagery, began to falter. Commander Sslithar watched in disbelief as his forces were pushed back. "Impossible," he hissed. "How can they be so ferocious?" Captain Drathka, bloodied but unbowed, joined him. "We underestimated them, Commander. These humans, they're not like any enemy we've faced before." Slithar's eyes burned with rage and a grudging respect. "Then we will crush them with everything we have. Prepare the orbital bombardment. If we cannot defeat them here, we will turn this entire planet to ash." As the humans regrouped, Kane received word of the impending bombardment. "We need to get out of here," he said urgently. "They're going to level the entire area." Cruz nodded. "We'll never make it to the transports in time. We need another plan." In a desperate bid for survival, the human resistance made their way to an abandoned Zal'rath outpost, hoping to find a way to counter the impending bombardment. Kane and Cruz led the charge, their determination unwavering. "We need to find a way to disable their orbital cannons," Kane said as they entered the outpost. "Cruz, see if you can hack into their systems." Cruz nodded and got to work, her fingers flying over the alien controls. "I've got it," she said after a tense few moments. "There's a command console that can override the bombardment, but it's deep inside the base." "Then that's where we're going," Kane said, his voice steely. "Let's move." As they fought their way through the Zal'rath base, the humans encountered fierce resistance. The halls were filled with the sounds of battle, the air thick with the smell of ozone and blood. Despite the overwhelming odds, they pressed on, driven by the knowledge that failure meant the end of humanity. Finally, they reached the command console. Cruz began the override process, her hands steady despite the chaos around her. "Just a few more seconds," she muttered. Suddenly the doors burst open, and Commander Sslithar strode in, his eyes blazing with fury. "You will not stop us," he hissed, drawing a wicked-looking blade. Kane stepped forward, his rifle at the ready. "We already have," he said, determination etched into his features. "Cruz, finish the override." The room erupted into chaos as Kane and Sslithar clashed. Slithar's blade flashed, but Kane parried with his rifle, using it as a makeshift staff. The two combatants were evenly matched, each driven by a desperate need to protect their species. Cruz worked furiously, ignoring the battle around her. With a final keystroke, the override was complete. "Done!" she shouted. Kane glanced over, a fierce grin spreading across his face. "Now, Sslithar, it's over." Sslithar roared in defiance, but it was too late. The orbital cannons powered down, their threat neutralized. The Zal'rath forces began to retreat, their morale shattered by the loss of their ultimate weapon. As the Zal'rath fled, Kane and Cruz stood victorious. The cost had been high, but they had shown the galaxy that humanity would not go quietly into the night. They were predators, fierce and unyielding, and they would fight until their last breath. The Resistance had won this battle, but the war was far from over. As they regrouped and tended to their wounded, Kane knew that the fight against the Zal'rath would continue, but with warriors like Cruz by his side, he was confident that humanity would prevail. The galaxy would remember this day, the day when the carnivorous humans stood their ground and proved that even the mightiest of foes could be brought low by the indomitable human spirit. The battered resistance forces gathered in the ruins of the Zal'rath outpost, tending to their wounded and taking stock of their supplies. The sense of victory was tempered by the heavy losses they had sustained. Colonel Marcus Kane stood tall amidst the chaos, his eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of retaliation. Sergeant Elena Cruz approached, her face smudged with dirt and blood, but her spirit unbroken. "We've secured the perimeter, Colonel. The Zal'rath are retreating to their ships. It looks like they're regrouping, possibly for a counterattack." Kane nodded. "We need to be ready. This isn't over. They won't give up so easily." As the humans fortified their position, a communication signal crackled to life. It was a message from the United Earth Forces headquarters. "Colonel Kane, this is General Hawthorne. We've received your transmission. Reinforcements are en route, but it will take time. Hold your position until we arrive." "Understood, General," Kane replied. "We'll hold the line." As the days passed, the Resistance braced for the inevitable counterattack. Scouts reported increased Zal'rath activity, but no major offensive had been launched yet. It was an uneasy calm before the storm. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, a small group of figures emerged from the forest. They were cloaked and moved with a strange, fluid grace. The Resistance fighters tensed, weapons ready, until Kane stepped forward to address the newcomers. "We are not your enemies," said the leader of the cloaked figures, a tall being with luminescent eyes. "We are the Ral'kai, an ancient race that has also suffered under the tyranny of the Zal'rath. We seek an alliance." Kane's eyes narrowed. "Why should we trust you?" The Ral'kai leader revealed a deep scar running across his chest, a wound inflicted by the Zal'rath. "Because we have a common enemy. Together, we stand a better chance of defeating them." After a tense deliberation, Kane agreed to the alliance. The Ral'kai brought advanced technology and knowledge of the Zal'rath's weaknesses, bolstering the Resistance's capabilities. With the Ral'kai's assistance, the humans prepared a daring plan to strike at the heart of the Zal'rath fleet. They aimed to disable the flagship, the Wrath of Zal, crippling the enemy's command structure and buying time for the united Earth forces to arrive. The night before the attack, Kane gathered his troops. "Tomorrow we strike at the very heart of the Zal'rath. We do this not just for ourselves, but for every species that has suffered under their rule. We are the Resistance, and we will prevail." At dawn, the combined human and Ral'kai forces launched their assault. Using stealth and surprise, they infiltrated the Zal'rath flagship. The halls of the Wrath of Zal echoed with the sounds of battle as the Resistance fought their way to the command center. Commander Sslithar, already aware of the attack, had fortified his position. "You will never defeat us," he roared as the doors to the command center burst open. Kane and Cruz led the charge, with the Ral'kai providing support. The battle was fierce and brutal, with both sides sustaining heavy losses. Sslithar fought with a savage desperation, his blade clashing against Kane's rifle. In the chaos, Cruz managed to plant explosive charges around the command center. "Colonel, we need to get out of here." Kane nodded, delivering a final blow to Sslithar that sent the commander sprawling. "This is for humanity," he said, pulling Cruz to safety as the explosives detonated. The explosion rocked the Wrath of Zal, sending shockwaves through the Zal'rath fleet. With their flagship crippled, the Zal'rath forces fell into disarray. The Resistance pressed their advantage, driving the invaders back. As the smoke cleared, the united Earth forces arrived, their ships descending like avenging angels. The Zal'rath, leaderless and demoralized, began to retreat. The tide of the war had turned. Colonel Kane stood on the battlefield, watching the Zal'rath ships disappear into the void. The cost had been high, but the victory was undeniable. Humanity had shown its teeth and proved that it was a force to be reckoned with. Sergeant Cruz joined him, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and hope. "We did it, Colonel. We pushed them back." Kane nodded, a rare smile breaking across his face. "We did, but this is just the beginning. The galaxy knows now that humanity will not be conquered. We will fight, we will survive, and we will thrive." The Ral'kai leader approached, offering a hand in friendship. "Together, we have achieved a great victory. Let us continue this alliance and bring peace to the galaxy." Kane shook the alien's hand. "Agreed. Today marks the dawn of a new era, one where all free beings stand united against tyranny." As the sun rose on a new day, the humans and their allies prepared for the challenges ahead. They had proven that even the most fearsome predators could be defeated by the strength of unity and the indomitable human spirit. The legend of the Carnivorous Resistance would be told across the stars, a testament to the courage and tenacity of those who refused to bow to oppression. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as defenders of freedom and hope.